Recording.
Okay, state your name and spell it for us.
Georgia Prescott, Georgia Prescott.
Thank you. So this is a matter of public record on that, so the names are already out there, but we've been trying to be sympathetic to privacy issues if people are uncomfortable talking about giving specific names and stuff. So obviously your name will be out there, but I don't know if you want Eleanor's name or whatever. I'm comfortable with you saying my daughter without a name. So I'll leave that up to you how much you want to specifically. I'll use her name, but that won't be in the documentary or anything. It's just if you want to use it, you have the choice, is what I'm saying.
Okay, if I can remember to do that. I think she calls her Emile or something in the book, in the little story.
Oh, yeah, yeah. You don't have, so whatever you're comfortable with. I don't know how.
Emily, right?
Emily, yeah.
Emily.
So I'm giving you permission, I don't know. I'm saying we're okay with you if you don't want to name names.
Okay.
Is all I'm saying. In a long-winded way, I guess, to say that. So the first question I'm going to ask you is to just describe the events leading up to the case. And this is, so we're talking factual now, not the story, but describe how the events happened to you leading up to it, and then going forward from there.
Okay. So my partner and I had been in a relationship for about 5 years and decided that we wanted to have a child. And went to a sperm bank. We brought the sperm home and inseminated it ourselves. We actually had a midwife help us with that project, but it was done at home. Our daughter was born then, and we were really thrilled and happy. And for about another 5 years, 4 years actually. And then the relationship started to get challenged. And I have a part in it, she has a part in it. It was just one of those things that probably would have been helped if we'd have gone to a marriage counselor, but didn't, and it reached a point of no return. When Ellie was conceived, we actually went to an attorney because we knew at that time that lesbian relationships weren't recognized in the court. So we went to an attorney, we had a contract drawn up so that if anything should happen to my partner, who actually we got pregnant with Ellie, if anything happened to her, that her family would not be able to step in and take Ellie away from me. And as a result, we thought we were protected. Of course, we weren't protected. So that when the relationship started to fail, she met somebody else, started a family, and actually wanted me out of the picture. Was very clear about that. I want you out of the picture because I think it's in the best interest of Ellie to have my new partner as her other parent. And of course, that wasn't okay with me. We were bonded. So as, I went to, she then came one day and said to me, actually that isn't how it happened. She never indicated they were moving away. But one day some people came, and it was actually shortly after Easter. Now, Ellie's, by that time we were sharing a 1 week with me and 1 week with her other mother. And Ellie would line up all her dolls in a circle, and she would be the teacher, and so she would teach all the dolls whatever she thought they should know at that time. So she had all her dolls lined up, and it was Easter, and she was going to go, and she said, "Now I'll be back," because it was actually my week. And so she was going to go to her other mother's just for Easter dinner, and I never saw her again. That was the last time I ever saw her. She wasn't picked up by Carrie. She was picked up by some friends of ours that I felt very betrayed behind. I had no idea they were in on it. They picked her up and they moved to Davis. And I was not allowed, never saw her again. Because I had no legal standing, she actually was able to get a restraining order so that and I had never tried to go over there and see her, but I knew that that was not possible. So I reached out to an attorney, and we started the process of trying to have me named as a co-parent. There was no legal precedence for that, and so we did not prevail in the lower court. We tried, and that was a miserable experience, by the way. We tried to take it to the California Supreme Court. They denied to hear the case, so siding with the lower courts. So that's kind of the story of what happened.
In the court hearings, were the community there with you, supported you?
The community was split. A lot of people didn't want to take sides, which was taking sides in my mind. So yeah, I did have some support from the community, but not as much as I would hope. People just didn't want to get involved. Yeah, and that was actually as challenging and as much of a betrayal to me as my ex-partner's behavior.
And your community was a very active community.
It was. I was very involved politically in Santa Rosa's gay pride events and activity.
And so part of the betrayal you felt was because the community who was trying to get things changed didn't really stand up for you when you were doing it.
Exactly.
Okay. Can you say that?
Yeah, the real betrayal was the fact that I had worked politically with the folks that I had worked politically with. All of a sudden, didn't want to be involved, where they had been very involved in all of the political activities that we had been involved in. Yeah. Now, that is not to say that not everybody wasn't supportive, but far fewer than I had anticipated would be.
Yeah, when I talked to Jo, she said she was in the courtroom holding hands with some other supporters.
Yes. Yes.
So I know you had some.
Absolutely. There were folks there. And really what I was looking for was not people to side with me, but people to side with Ellie.
Yeah. She's really the one getting hurt.
Right, exactly.
Are you afraid Ellie doesn't know how hard you fought for her, that she's completely...
Sometimes I fear it because I have no idea what they told her.
Can you back up a little bit and say...
Yeah. Part of what my big fear is that Ellie doesn't know how hard I tried to fight for her, to see her. And it's challenging because, I don't want her put in the middle of a push-pull kind of thing, but we were really bonded. And so it must have, it must have been some sort of difficulty for her too. It must have hurt her also at that time. Now, what they told her to sort of mitigate that, what they told her to make it okay for her is, I don't know, but whatever they told her worked because, she's an adult now and she could have reached out and has not.
So have you ever tried to contact her since?
I used to hire, when she was younger, I used to hire a private investigator to kind of keep me posted. How was she doing in school? Was she flourishing? Was she thriving? Was she okay? So I would get these reports, and it became so painful for me, I stopped. And so I decided that the best course of action for me was to try and totally bless and release her, totally just let go of the whole situation. Over the years, my brother recently tried to reach out to her through Facebook. I look on Facebook. I'm clearly not a friend on Facebook, so I don't know too much, but I've found a little bit out on Facebook. That she's doing very well. She's an attorney now. She graduated from Bolt, and she's doing very well. So I know a little bit. But in terms of getting her to contact me, I've decided not to do that. Like I say, my brother did it just a month ago, to see if she would reach out to me, and she has not reached out. She didn't respond to him and hasn't reached out to me.
So I'm not sure who your ex got into a relationship with, but are you resentful that, or find it aggravating or bothersome that heterosexual couple could have more rights than a, so even if the husband was not a biological parent, they would have parental rights. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, I'm furious. I'm furious that because I am a lesbian, it's a total gender issue. Because I am a lesbian in a lesbian relationship, that you know, my case wasn't even, I don't think it was even heard properly. Although I think my attorney did a great job, you know, I think that they knew, they absolutely knew that they were going to prevail. And yeah, am I mad? Yes. Have I done a lot of forgiveness work personally? I've done hours of it. But the system still, you know, yeah, am I mad about it? Sure. It's a whole part of my life that was gone. Yeah.
You were politically active in the community after the case and the resolution. Did you take any action to try and change any of the laws, or were you active in any regards to that?
No, I haven't. I've been very active politically, but not in that area. It was just too painful for me to get involved in.
Did you ever think same-sex marriage would ever become legal?
No, I never did. I never did.
Can you say that in a belief?
Yeah, I never believed same-sex marriage would be legal. And you know, I've since married, and I've married many people as the pastor of this church, so it's been an honor. Yeah.
So if you don't, we don't have to put this in a document if you don't want to, but do you have kids now?
I do not. I have another child in my life, not in the same way Ellie, in terms of an agreement with the mother that we would have this child together, but an agreement with the mother that I would help raise her, and I have, and it's been a great relationship, and she now has 2 kids, so that's been wonderful for me.
Good.
Yeah.
I'm happy about that.
Yes.
So, okay, the next one is where are they at now? We kind of covered that, I guess. And we've covered what your relationship is with Eleanor. So you've covered this a little bit, but how were you able to move on after the final judgment denying your parental rights and invalidating your relationship?
Well, initially, moving on after the court decision was challenging. You know, I lost 60 pounds. I would walk hours and hours and hours just to let the rage release. Sometimes I'd walk till 3 in the morning just because to be still was to be aware that my child was gone. So it was just too painful. Eventually, and then I immersed myself in work. I was the executive director of the Council on Aging in Sonoma County during this time, and I just immersed myself in my work. And it was about that time that I found this church in Santa Rosa, and that was a huge help because I was able to begin to look at taking responsibility for my part in what was going on, and I had a part. You know, I was angry at her leaving for somebody else. I was angry at her taking my child even half the time. And then I was really angry when they moved, and I had no idea where they went, and I didn't even get to say goodbye. That was really hard that I wasn't able to say goodbye, nor was she able to come and say goodbye to her little dolls that were there. So it was a, I would say it was a 3 to 5 year period that I was able to come back to some degree of normalcy.
If Ellie were to agree to talk to you, what would you say to her now?
I'd say how proud I am that she's become the woman she is, how much I love her. And that sorry.
Take your time. We can stop for a minute if you want. I know this is really hard.
And that I'm, pretty much have forgiven her other mother and her other mother's partner. I'm not 100%. I can still, conjure up some anger, but I'm pretty clear that I've forgiven them mostly. They were we say in this church, everybody's operating with the very best consciousness that they have at any given moment. And while I think her consciousness could have been improved at that moment, I think she thought she was looking out for herself, Carrie, herself, her new partner, and Ellie. I do believe that. I believe that she thought it would be easier not to have another parent and, another parent involved.
When I talked to Joe about the story she wrote, her sort of part in that was the lady who was at the house, is still in the house after everybody had left. She was the last one there. And she told me this story about how she would look for a little girl coming back or a young lady coming back and hoping that Eleanor would come back looking for you. And I just thought, so many people so hurt,
Yeah. Yeah, there were a lot of people hurt by this. Yeah.
So in the story, Joe says, well, I want it to be a happy ending, even though reality was not a happy ending. Can you talk a little bit about the end of the story, how it differs from reality?
Well, the story ends that they will get connected, that they did want to all see each other and connect with each other. I'm not dead. Ellie's not dead. I'm never going to give up. I just have to make sure that my expectations aren't such that they interfere with what I do here at the church or in my life with my partner or with my other child.
So you still have hope that someday maybe she will.
It's not hope anymore. It's not hope, especially after this last outreach that my brother did, and there's been no response. Hope is too strong a word, but I would never say I gave up. You know the difference?
Yeah.
I mean, I'm open. I'm open to it happening.
Okay, I think we should stop. Can I hug you?
But we don't, if there's more.